Welcome to Food Safety 5, twice monthly reports from the Food Safety Magazine editorial desk to keep you abreast of top news stories and current events impacting the food safety sector. Today's episode provides a deep dive into the revised Dietary Guidelines for Americans, novel focus on highly processed foods, and how the choice in terminology sidesteps ongoing federal consideration about how to define and regulate ultra-processed foods, or UPFs. UPFs are the subject of increasing discussion and controversy among food scientists, nutritionists, regulators, and even laypeople. The term is typically associated with the four-category NOVA food classification system, which defines Category 4 UPFs as industrially manufactured food products made up of several ingredients, or formulations, including sugar, oils, fats, and salt, and food substances of no or rare culinary use. Beyond the NOVA system, UPFs do not have a statutory federal definition, although USDA and FDA are considering developing such a definition, having recently closed a request for information on the topic. Similarly, highly processed foods is a term used throughout the revised dietary guidelines, although without explicit definition. At most, the guidelines described highly processed foods as those laden with refined carbohydrates, added sugars, excess sodium, unhealthy fats, and chemical additives, and associates them with packaged, prepared, ready-to-eat, and other foods with added sugars and sodium. Highly processed foods are mentioned several times in the dietary guidelines, which advise against their consumption and suggest that by avoiding highly processed carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, Americans can meet their macro and micronutrient goals without exceeding recommended limits for sugar, sodium, and unhealthy saturated fat. Those who keep a close eye on food policy may find themselves asking what the difference between highly processed and ultra-processed foods may be, and whether the use of the term highly processed foods in the dietary guidelines might be a stand-in for UPFs, to the same effect. The Make America Healthy Again agenda, touted by U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and supported by the Trump administration, takes a hard stance against processed foods and chemical additives. The focus on highly processed foods in the dietary guidelines reflects this priority. Although MAHA's anti-processed food attitude has colored some of its efforts thus far, such as FDA's request to companies to ditch artificial food dyes and Secretary Kennedy's direction to FDA to explore rulemaking for stricter oversight of generally recognized as safe or GRAS ingredients, enforceable regulatory actions have yet to be taken. FDA and USDA's recent request for information suggests that the agencies are looking to regulate UPFs, saying that a uniform, federally recognized definition will allow for consistency in research and policy to pave the way for addressing health concerns associated with the category. At the time, Secretary Kennedy asserted that ultra-processed foods are driving the U.S. chronic disease epidemic and that America must act boldly to eliminate the root causes of chronic illness and improve the health of our food supply. Although the negative health consequences of a diet consisting mostly of high-calorie, pre-packed foods with low nutritional value and high in sugar and sodium are known and accepted, the idea of defining and regulating UPFs as a category is much more controversial. Common arguments against a statutory definition for and regulation of UPFs include likely stigmatization of food processing in general, which encompasses steps to ensure food safety, extend shelf life, and enhance nutrient availability. Additionally, by focusing on the level of a food's processing rather than its specific nutritional profile or associated health harms, a potential definition or policies risk penalizing nutrient-dense foods that do meaningfully contribute to a balanced diet. Recent studies support this point. For example, a case study by Aarhus University researchers demonstrated that grouping diverse foods into a single category can suggest the harmfulness of foods with known health benefits. On the other hand, some stakeholders do support defining and regulating UPFs as a category, although opinions vary on the level of nuance that should be applied, or whether UPFs should be named something else for policymaking purposes. California has even taken unprecedented first steps toward regulating UPFs with the passage of the Real Food Healthy Kids Act in October 2025. It establishes the first ever statutory definition of UPFs and directs California's Department of Public Health to identify and phase out UPFs of concern from schools by 2035. The Act defines UPFs as those foods high in saturated fat, added sugar, or containing a non-sugar sweetener, or sodium, and contains one or more of certain additives, including artificial dyes, flavors, sweeteners, emulsifiers, and thickening agents. In the context of the current UPFs definition debate and ongoing consideration by FDA and USDA, questions have arisen about the implications of the term highly processed foods used in the revised Dietary Guidelines for Americans. Although the dietary guidelines carry some weight in individual dietary choices, More importantly, they help inform and shape federal nutrition initiatives like the National School Lunch Program, the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC, and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. The effect that the Dietary Guidelines advice against highly processed foods may have on such programs, and how potentially forthcoming definitions and policy on UPFs may differ, has yet to be seen. For more information on any of the stories mentioned in this video, be sure to check out the Food Safety Magazine coverage linked in the description. Check back twice monthly on Tuesdays for the latest Food Safety 5 episodes, available at food-safety.com or on our YouTube channel.